welcome to hopefully this unblocked version of Wake and Bake News, and I'm your host, Shampoo VTA. Hello, and how are you, and Happy New Year's. I hope some of you got to see the Rose Parade. It was really cool. Of course, we all have to remember that as much as I love the Rose Parade, and I've been watching it forever since I was a kid, and my son and I watch it, it's a very militaristic parade because we have a lot of military bases in California, so let's not lose sight of the fact that they do fly a B-1 bomber, or whatever that, stealth bomber over the thing, which is very impressive and cool, but it also is kind of warmongery. So I love the floats. If the military could decorate a float with flowers and put it in the parade, they probably would. So hopefully that never happens. What I would like to see is, I would like to see a float with hemp or marijuana or medical marijuana or cannabis or hemp seeds or something going on there. That would be really cool. I'm going to show you my breakfast and start eating it before it gets cold. This is all medicated. I made the video and I'm posted at the beginning, which I haven't done yet. You have to realize, in this reality that Kelly's in right now, I have not edited that video yet. So I just finished shooting it and put my tablet down and started doing this. Okay, so the butter on all of these things is medicated. So let's start with our toast. Marijuana butter. So all my New Year's breakfast this morning is medicated. And sriracha-fied. It has sriracha. So I had a live show this morning, and of course the microphone didn't work, but Kelly adapted. Remember, I worked for the school district, so you move quick and you got to make something happen because those kids aren't going to just be patient or go away. So I just flipped the camera around, showed the parade, and talked in the chat to people and linked to the stories that I have linked in the live feed at the bottom if you look in the description. And those are stories I'm going to touch on today for our show. And basically the reason I got blocked yesterday. The reason I got blocked, I believe, is because I showed a CNN video. Oh my god, you're right. Sriracha just makes those eggs boom. One of the nice things about living in California, all the fantastic Mexican food. God bless Mexican people. Thank you, Mexico, for wonderful food. Sriracha is actually from China, but I wouldn't have discovered it if it wasn't for Mexican kids that I worked with. Tapatio and sriracha, kind of making a bag of food into a meal, like prison grub. They kind of told me about that, and I tried it at home. I found some videos, and I was like, that's really cool, that they could just turn a bag of chips into a dinner is amazing. I'm meditating on camera. Harvey. My husband walked in yesterday on camera with 2 grams of keef and gave it to me from a grower we're friends with for Christmas. Very sweet. Wonderful keef. And I got a little bit of buds from him. Right? I've been smoking since last night for New Year's and everything. Of course, my video showed I had more yesterday, but thank you, YouTube, for blocking it, because obviously everybody just so cares about the CNN video, and I'm obviously just taking so much money away from them. And it is obviously so worth it to you to do this, so whatevs. I'll just use it as advertising. Look, I pissed them off so much that they blocked me. It's like a badge of honor. so I'm not so pissed about it. I'll just slippery butterfingers. Marijuana butterfingers. Anyway, I'll just explain what happened. Okay, so the video that I showed, that I linked to yesterday, about that pissed off CNN or whatever the aggregator is that listens and figures out that, oh, they're using a video or music or something that's copyrighted. Okay, what pissed him off is I linked to CNN Money, and that's money.cnn.com, video, news, 2015-04-2, marijuana test lab, Colorado, CNN Money, index.tml, and I didn't do the slashes because it'll just fix it anyway when you put it in the search engine. Anyway, this story's called, it's from CNN Money Reports, Inside the Marijuana That Tests Your Weed, or Inside the Lab That Tests Your Marijuana, your weed. Okay, Kelly's thinking ahead and saying and not. I'm already explaining to you in my head what I'm trying to get at. Okay, so when you watch this video, right at the beginning, okay, this guy says that testing used to be only for law enforcement to prove that marijuana was in fact marijuana. So it wasn't, it was kind of, he indicates in the way he speaks about it that it was kind of rinky-dink, right? And then he goes into how now that they're regulating marijuana and they have to test for potency and they have to test for contaminants and all this stuff, oh, suddenly all this science shows up and he has to pay for all this expensive lab equipment, and he has to have specially trained people and everything. Okay. And of course he goes into stuff like, oh, we're dropping the THC level because people don't want high doses in their, edibles, because then they get surprised by these edibles and they're upset about it because, they overindulged and didn't pay attention to the warnings or whatever it is. Okay. So he goes into all that stuff, but the point I wanted you to notice is when you watch the video, and please watch the video, go to the link I will provide and watch the video, and take a look at the actual testing facility, what it looks like, the equipment that he talks about that's so hard to get, and all this stuff, and how much it costs to do all this regulation, because now you got to make all these different government agencies happy. And then, when I tell you about this next story, please keep all of that information in mind. So if you have a moment, please pause the video here and check out the link to the CNN story, because when I actually tried to show the video, the fuckers blocked me. For me, all I have to do is stop, click, and I'm back. It's really cool. But for you, it's been like, a couple of minutes watching the video. Okay, so now we're going to go from that story, which is old, about this testing lab, about how rigorous it is, about how professional, and the standards have to be very high. And now we're going to look at a story from the globalgazette.com. MC Press News local police chief arrests and tests in marijuana cases. And then it's got a big article number link. Okay, but the name of this article is, from the globegazette.com, is Police Chief Arrests and Tests in Marijuana Cases. What? I'm sorry, what? And then they provide a picture of this guy, who's the police chief, Bucky Beaverty, and he's standing here in plain clothes that he uses on the job, out on patrol. He's even wearing a tactical bracelet underneath his watch. You can plainly see, which when I was trained in food services, you can't have that kind of stuff because it will create cross-contamination. I'm sorry, is it different in science? Can we just dress any old way we want to? I thought we all had to be like Intel dummies. Here, I got this. I had this out yesterday. Remember Intel? They had to wear these little costumes because they had to have this super sealed situation so none of the dust would get into the microchips they were making. Okay, so didn't the last story we just heard from CNN kind of indicate that there's all this rigorous testing and everything? and it's because they have to test for potency and pesticides? No, I don't. This is supposed to hold up in a court of law. And let's take a look at this thing he's leaning on here. This what is it, a break room? I mean, maybe this is just another, it looks like, okay, cinder block building with basic cabinetry. So they obviously set this room up like some kind of haphazard science lab in a high school, right? Microscope looks like it's from the 1990s. I'm not sure about that power bar. Is that going to pass like muster with the fire department? And is that a candy wrapper next to the power bar? And then, oh, look, a scale from 1965. I mean, that scale is like literally like something you would see in high school science labs. And a couple of test tubes. And this guy is testing marijuana, apparently, not just for his jurisdiction, but for localities nearby. And in the story, it actually says that most of his testing comes up positive. Well, yeah, I mean, think about it. If I touch, like, for instance, this keef, and I start rubbing it on all kinds of other things, they're going to test positive for marijuana. So you could rub this on tea, on a brownie, on anything. All you need is a little dusting of keef, and probably the next thing you know, you could prove in court, because obviously they're not digging real deep, look at the lab, and say, oh, this is marijuana. This person had marijuana. Well, no wonder most of the testing's coming up positive. So let's read some of this. Wait, let me dive in. Food. Spam. This is a new... Spam's got all kinds of new flavors. This is teriyaki. I've also tried the, I think it's chorizo, which was not bad. The turkey, smoked. I think there's a jalapeno one. It was really good. We tried, I think that jalapeno one I liked the most because it was very lightly flavored jalapeno. Okay. Pardon me. I have two things to drink. Hot chocolate and orange juice. I can't decide. And I haven't hit in this bowl yet. But let's dive in first. Osage. For 15 years, Osage Police Chief Brian Wright has been providing a service to law enforcement agencies, a service that gets little press. And unlike the regular gear he usually uses on the job, which he's apparently wearing in this room right now, where he probably shouldn't be because they conduct criminal investigation lab testing there, like scientific lab testing, but here we are, we're just going to come in, touch everything, and rub our snot on everything. Okay, and unlikely and regular gear he usually uses on the job, unlike this service requires test tubes and a microscope, and probably a lot more education than this guy actually has. Wright performs testing on marijuana evidence gathered by not only his own department, but from other North Iowa departments each month. Let's see. It is not something everyone knows how to do. Wright is one of the few law enforcement officers certified in North Iowa to perform the testing. Departments otherwise would submit samples to the Iowa Division of Criminal Investigation for results. However, Wright said the DCI is usually so inundated with requests for the testing of marijuana, the Department of Public Safety offered a certification class in testing to alleviate the load. Wright took the class in 2000 and was reclassified as an identifier each year since. So in other words, the Iowa already has a program for testing marijuana, but this isn't good enough, and it doesn't move fast enough, and probably doesn't get the prosecutions they want. And he doesn't have an opportunity to tamper with evidence if it goes to the state, right? So they figured out a way to circumvent the state's official testing with a real laboratory by saying, oh, we'll test some officers to alleviate some of the, because there's too many caseloads. Right? Bullshit. Bullshit. Why not put the money into the lab so it could test more instead of funneling money to local police departments so this guy can have moonlight as a scientist? Okay, you see what I'm saying? Okay, so, however, Wright said the DCI is usually so inundated with requests for the testing of marijuana, the Department of Public Safety offered a certification class. Oh, yeah, I bet they did, because that's a way around this law, right? While the DCI may take months to conduct testing on submissions, Wright will meet requests in about a month's time and make sure that conviction sticks, right? If not sooner. If needed, he works with police and sheriff's departments as well as the Iowa State Patrol. In other words, don't send it to the state, send it to this guy because he will make sure it comes up positive. This service is valuable, said Mitchell County's Sheriff's Greg Beaver. Oh, I bet it is. How much do they get in, property seizure is what I'm starting to ask now. Okay, is this all part of this, an entire scam of just milking the public? Who is thankful for Wright's work? Oh, I bet he is. Brian's testing allows for more efficiency in the prosecution of cases. Oh, I bet it does, said Beaver. Otherwise, he added, departments may wait at minimum for 12 weeks for DCI actual, real professional testing results. And why not just have this idiot pretend to be a lab and do this rinky-dink testing in the break room and make sure that the results come up positive so everybody gets paid? It's like having your cake and eating it too. Sure, there's lab testing at the state, but we know how to get around it. That slows the entire judicial process, Beaver said. Marijuana is just not a high priority item for DCI, and they get bogged down with all the questions, Beaver said. Yeah, I bet it's not a high priority for them, but it is for localities that want to make money off of these busts, okay? Let's smoke this. Ooh. Your hit, sir, madam. Your hit, your New Year's hit, enjoy. Enjoy. Keith from the great state of California. Marijuana grown in the great state of California. In a place where it is allowed to be grown because they won't allow dispensaries. So they're all going to turn us into farmers now. And we're going to have a black market farmers market going on. Alright. So, marijuana is not a high priority item for DCI. And they get bogged down with all of the requests, Beaver said. Wright tests samples during his off hours. Oh boy! Red flag time! Somebody wrote that in my live show when I was typing about this. And I'm like, when he goes, red flag, I'm like, yes, that's what I said when I saw him leaning on that shelf with all that crappy testing equipment. I'm like, okay, he tests it himself, and look at this. It doesn't even look professional. It looks like they just set people up. Okay? Looks like a high school that I patrolled. Wright's tests samples during his off hours, so it's a moonlighting job, and he's getting paid extra to do this. See, this is like, these guys are really not very nice people. Depending on the number of procedures, can take almost a day to perform. The procedures involve both visual and chemical testing. All samples are destroyed. I'll have about 20 to 25 requests a month, he said. As a result, Wright is often called to testify by his results. Oh, so now he probably, so he gets called to testify. I don't think that's on his off hours. I bet he gets paid for that too. So he's not just getting paid for testing, he's getting paid for appearing in court for people. Wright makes it clear that he is not a technician and is only certified to conduct tests on marijuana. He doesn't charge for his time, and that's fine with him. Other departments are more than willing to help us out by purchasing items needed for testing, he added. Oh yeah, we see what a great job they're doing in that photo with the rinky-dink equipment. Remember, compare that to the CNN story where when it's regulated, oh my God, we need fucking a spaceship, and we need aliens, and we need spacesuits, remember? And we need special educations and everything. But when you want to prosecute somebody for marijuana, oh, here's a shitty little break room. Here, we'll clean off the counter for you there. What was that, the microwave in the back? Okay. Then, later, it says that he destroys samples after the testing. Yeah, I bet he does. That way, there can be no peer review, no testing checks, right? So no other scientist can go in or lawyer and test it and go, well, you were wrong. That's not marijuana. It's a shoe, and you rub marijuana on it, you know. Or it's a flower or something ridiculous. Okay, under the eyes of the law, okay, wait. Wright's testing only determines two things: if the item is marijuana and how much it weighs. In earlier years, he said, there was discussion about testing strength of samples, but the law that today does not require any determination of potency. And he's not explaining a lot of things there, too. You know, it used to be in the, early days of Prohibition in the 70s, you would get busted by the pound, right? You would get busted by the quantity, how much you were smuggling into the country or whatever. And then growers figured out that if they made the plants stronger and more potent, then you could have a lesser amount that you're carrying and the charges could be less. So law enforcement changed it to, now if you're carrying any amount of marijuana, sticks, seeds, stems, whatever it is, it's going to count as marijuana, and off to the who's gal you go. At least that's the way I remember it. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff he's not explaining right there. Under the eyes of the law, it's all the same, no matter how strong, or if it's sticks, leaves, twigs. Come on, this guy is a flim-flam dude. Oranges from my mother-in-law's tree. We stayed over at Nana's house, and I picked oranges because she has 3 orange trees in the backyard, and they're really good this year. They turned out really good. I've been using them to make like an orange salad. There's like these hot sprinkles, and I can't remember what the heck it's called, but anyway, there's this thing they do at the swap meet with fruit where they put like the spicy stuff on top, and it is so fucking good. It's like sweet, savory, spicy. Love the swap meets food. Okay, so I have about 20 to 25 requests a month. Wright makes it clear that he is not a technician. Wright tests only determine 2 things, whether it's marijuana and how much. Under the eyes of the law, it's all the same, so it doesn't matter what potency it is, or if it's sticks or twigs or stems. Still, he knows through his testing the marijuana of today is far stronger than its genesis in the 1960s and 70s. Yeah, and whose fault is that? And by the way, why did growers have to learn how to use hydroponics? Because of the law. Because they made them stick it in their house. So now every stoner had to become a fucking rocket scientist in order to grow weed, and they adapted. So prohibition is like a type of way of forcing evolution to go faster. Because you're putting these roadblocks in front of us, and then we just figure out how to circumvent them. A report by the American Chemical Society agrees. In a report released in March, it said THC, or tetrahydrocannabinol, the psychoactive compound in marijuana that acts on the brain to produce the feeling of being high, has today reached 20 to 30% in samplings gathered by law enforcement in the early days. 4% of THC was normal. It is troubling to Wright, who knows the higher THC levels mean there is a greater chance of addiction. He is convinced that pot is a gateway to other stronger drugs. While the vast majority of samples prove to be marijuana, there is an occasional non-drug item in a sample. That doesn't happen often, however. While the subject is a serious one, there are humorous stories on occasion. And it goes into this retarded story about how some guy smoked something that wasn't weed, and everybody laughed and said, "Oh, I think I smoked weed." And they went, "No, that's not weed, dude, you're an idiot." And that has nothing to do with what the fuck is going on here. That's just you know, it's like, okay, so they're trying to cover up a ton of things. I have a huge amount of questions. This is the only officer that has helped to prosecute numerous marijuana convictions, and only marijuana convictions, not only in his jurisdiction, but nearby jurisdictions, and I think it said the Highway Patrol, right? Well, if a good lawyer goes in there, I'll bet you they can prove that most of those convictions can now be overturned, because look at this bullshit. The samples are destroyed. He's been doing this since 2000. It circumvents state law in a very clever way, without actually solving the problem of the labs being overwhelmed, but now passing the buck to local jurisdiction police officers who can bank on it and make sure convictions stick. I think a good lawyer could tear right the fuck into this story and find some just treasure gold. Now, Iowa. Remember? We're from Iowa. Who else is from Iowa? Chuck Grassley, right? Isn't Chuck Grassley? Yes, he is. Senator from Iowa. Isn't Chuck Grassley on the committee that is helping to kill the CARES Act? Well, you want some ammunition to go after Chuck Grassley and his state about what their prohibition's all about? This police officer and their cute-ass little story about testing might be the crack that you need to stick your crowbar in and break this bitch open. Just my recommendation. Just pointing it out. Anybody out there listening? Russ Belville, marijuana.com, you know, Reason TV. Anybody out there? Is anybody out there? Can you hear me? This is a voice speaking to you from reality. Look, something you should be checking out. Spread the story, put it on Reddit, put it on Gawker, put it everywhere. That this guy is the only dude testing marijuana for like 3 or 4 jurisdictions and the Highway Patrol, and I think a good lawyer could probably have some of those convictions overturned, because that looks shaky ass and sketchy to me. Then, once you crack that story open, you bust it open wider, hype it up, and push it right at Chuck Grassley and go, this is the reason why you're not acting on the CARES Act. I mean, do I have to write a script for you? Okay. And that was my sneak-a-toke from yesterday. And the reason why I believe that YouTube blocked my video from yesterday, which is fine, I'm not heartbroken about that. I'm actually very proud. Because I think that I posted a lot of things that could have easily gotten my video blocked, but it was that one that got blocked. So not that I'm paranoid, I'm going to use it as advertising and just say they did it because they're politically scared. And they can't prove otherwise. And when you go look, the video will still be blocked, so you will have to formulate a reason why they did it on your own, because you won't see any of the evidence why it happened. I'm going to twist it on them. It's advertising. Get it? I'm so cool, they blocked me. I'm so cool, I attracted trolls. I am getting so up there. See, that's what I'm talking about. Take that negative and spin it on them and go, you're actually complimenting me. Thank you. Okay, like in The Art of War, it's called Getting the Mountain to Move. You can only win a battle when you get the mountain to move. The mountain's moving, mountain's quaking, mountain's shaking. If it ain't for me, it's for all these other stories and all these other activists. Mountain don't know where to look. Holy shit, shit's happening. What to do, you know? I better get back to my edibles. Ugh, they're going to get cold on me and I will waste my beautiful keef. I have to shove this on my mouth. Momentito, por favor. That's what real eating looks like, not TV eating. Okay, this is our news story for today. And the last story I'm going to do for our New Year's, let you go and get this up right away, because I'll have 2 videos that went up. One of them with no sound. Camera's falling over. Oh my god. I was trying to set the camera up, and then I set it up on the edge of my guitar. I'm trying to balance this stupid thing because it's got these little, you know, legs that you can shake, right? I'm trying to get it on the edge of my guitar where the tuners are and get it balanced. You'll see it in the video. And get it to point at my TV. And I finally I'm sitting there. Thank God the mic wasn't on, because I'm like, motherfucker! Yeah. Okay, so, like, I'm trying to set it up. I turn to go do something at my computer. I look back, and the whole thing, the guitar's just like, like, but I pulled it together. And even last night, there was, like, a mistake, because I was uploading my video, and Kurt wanted to do something on his side of the computer on this one, and he went over, and when he did that, I guess it shut down the browser, which it shouldn't have done. It should have given a warning. It didn't do any of those things. It just, you know, so then I had to re-upload, and when I upload, it takes like 3 hours, 5 hours, 2 days, 6 hours. Every day is a struggle. So today I'm going to do it short, so we can get this up right away. And you can have silent movie, which I did earlier this morning for the Rose Parade, and this. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to say real quick was, oh my god, did I totally appreciate everybody's support. I just really thank you so much. It's weird to talk to a camera and know that there are probably real people in their real-time existence at some point in the history of the human world watching me and experiencing me as like a personal kind of relationship real quick. It's a little weird. It's neat, too. I'm really liking it. It's not something that, like, I didn't write people with letters a lot and stuff when I was a kid. I didn't have, like, pen pals and shit. I didn't do all that. I usually wrote corporations and complained about their products. That was more like what I was into as a kid. I bought your peanut brittle, and thank you so much, because you've sent me this wonderful extra surprise, bugs. I just so appreciate that you are so concerned about my intake of protein that you made sure that I had an extra protein-packed day. And they sent me 3 new packs. And they said my letter was funny. So that was more like what I was into. I didn't like write people. I would write corporations. I would yell at power. Because power is kind of a faceless thing. You know that the people around you are part of it. And they kind of vaguely understand they're part of it, but it's more like a faceless thing. When you go, they are pissing me off, it's, you know, who the hell knows what you're talking about? So it's like you're talking to the vast majority, not individuals. So to hear like people that are individuals react to my video, it's like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. I'm embarrassed. That's really cool. I forget. They're real people out there, and they are watching my videos either today, this year, 10 years from now, in space, on Starship Enterprise. They're doing a research project and watching my video, maybe. I don't know. But I forget sometimes that there is this moment, just like with me, when you're looking at something and having feelings. as though you were there in that moment. It's kind of neat. Like the virtual toke. Think about it. This marijuana, because it's on camera, is forever. The toke I give you is not just to you, but generations of people after you. As long as this video exists, and this video will always exist, because the internet is nothing but a pool filled with all of our piss that you can never get out, right? So when I offer you this, it's forever, you know. What I'm doing, I know for sure, is forever. So I have to not make money off of it, because I don't think that would, it's not what I'm after. I'm trying to do the story thing. I'm trying to get you to think, challenge you, like I always did with any group of kids or adults or friends, or, you know, talk about stuff. Try to go beyond just pornography and rock music videos and funny videos on YouTube or reaction videos or something, or unboxings, to just kind of reach beyond into that conversation, the overall arcing moral conversation about what the fuck is it exactly we've turned our world into, instead of all these kinds of other things that are really fun and look great on camera, but aren't necessarily something maybe people will be looking at 100 years from now. And I'm hoping this kind of thing is. So remember, Jokin Daily and everybody else, Ray, Freddie, everybody giving virtual bong tokes and pot hits and stuff during this age of the end of Prohibition, 2015, 2016 now. These virtual tokes are forever. That weed is now forever. It's going to always be there for the history books to look at. And I think that's important. And that's why I do this. Okay. Boy, I'm kind of rambling, huh? I must be high. I'm getting all silly. Make sure my camera's still lined up. Yes. Okay, let's go back into this last story that I said I was going to do before the blathering. Back to hot chocolate time. Cold chocolate time. Surgeon General policy review could lead to big changes. This is from marijuanapolitics.com. Surgeon General policy review could lead to big changes. Now, from what I got from the story, okay, the reason why they thought this was important is because the original person that said that, hey, prohibition is a stupid idea, was the Surgeon General. Back when they first banned it with Anslinger, the Surgeon General was the only rational fucking person in the room, right? Because he doesn't have, I don't think, skin in the game. Or at least he didn't at the time. He didn't work for Purdue or Hearst and his newspaper or lumber companies. He didn't work for pharmaceutical companies or whatever else was threatened by this industry, you know, or racism or something like that. So he was like, what the fuck do you mean you want to ban cannabis, you know? Okay, so the original, from what I understand, the original Surgeon General was on the side of keeping marijuana legalized. That was ridiculous. It wasn't even called marijuana back then. That Surgeon General knew it as cannabis. It wasn't until it was introduced to Congress under the word marijuana that marijuana became attached to it, and marijuana is a racist word intended to mask the fact that at the time they were going to ban cannabis because people like cannabis. And now all those people are long gone, nobody can ask them nothing, okay? The witnesses to this crime are all dead. Okay, so the first thing is that the first Attorney General, or Surgeon General, right? Surgeon General, sorry. He supported marijuana legalization to stay there. Cannabis cannabis being a normal crop to stay there because it was grown all across America and stuff. The other thing is when this guy came in, he alluded to the fact in a statement that marijuana was medicine, but then backed off, you know, which could have been a tactical thing. Might have been, a little too soon there on that. because they're going to jump all of you, fade in the background while we deal with this at a higher echelon. Let Congress run the ball for you. Then you can come around at the end, right? Okay, so like, this guy's been chill since then, and now he's going to do a top-to-bottom review of our marijuana or drug policies, whether they're legal or illegal. So that includes alcohol, pharmaceuticals, and marijuana. And this is what snapped in my brain. Here in America, we used to have this thing called the food pyramid, right? And the food pyramid was a horrifying joke. It was basically a way to subsidize farmers in America because grains and stuff like that were the majority. Milk, you know, eggs, grain, all these things that farmers produced and stuff was the majority of what it was that they were pushing on the food pyramid. So the cafeterias of your school district were actually being used to subsidize farmers in America, right? More government subsidies. So eventually people went, look, the food pyramid's a fucking joke. Stop teaching this. This is ridiculous. This isn't science. And they threw it out. And now they have some other ridiculous thing that because they love color charts and they just get so excited about these things. Anyway, so they got something new, and I'm thinking, oh my God, what if they do the same thing with our schedule system for drugs that they did with the food pyramid? If you know anything about what happened to the food pyramid, all those subsidies for all these things like, you know, milk and eggs and cows and all these things flipped. Now you're supposed to have much less meat. Now you're supposed to have much less dairy. Now you're, be careful of the white bread. Go for whole grains and, you know, stuff like that. So a lot of businesses were deeply affected by this. Cafeterias in the old days, like in the 70s and 80s and stuff, was fattening food and turkey and gravy and stuff like this. And you would get like broccoli with butter melted on top and cookies they actually made that were the size of like a hubcap. I remember that from high school. I loved those cookies. I would eat that for the whole day. Just a fucking huge, like they had sugar cookies, like snickerdoodles, and they had chocolate chip cookies. And you could buy this thing for like 50 cents, 25 cents, 2 for 50 cents. That would feed you for the whole fucking day, you know. All of that now is gone out of the cafeterias. So I was thinking, if they treat our drug scheduling system like they did the food pyramid, we could see some very shocking changes. Because think about it. What if we did schedule alcohol the way it should be scheduled? What if we did schedule some of these things the way they should be scheduled, not just marijuana? The world may look like a very different place. So this could be, whoa, different. And I've been saying that the scheduling system is fucking stupid. It's as stupid as a food pyramid, and it's as stupid as that stupid color-coding terrorist shit we used to have. It's not helpful. It's like, okay, the USGS used to have an earthquake map, I think it was, that, and they kind of still do, that had a kind of big red circles that would show up, but they would, I think they were 3D or something, I can't remember, okay? But it kind of was startling when I first saw it and was watching the earthquakes, and frightening. And I think it was for a lot of other people that went, oh, USGS has a website, let's watch the earthquakes. Jesus, there's a lot, holy shit, that was a big one. It's like suddenly you see the world as it really is. It's very terrifying, you know. So, but they look like huge nuclear explosions, and I saw other earthquake maps where they actually made it dramatic, where they were bubbles coming out of the planet in 3D and looked like a nuclear holocaust, you know. So, they love to do these graphs and shit, and sometimes the graphs are playing stuff up into ways that they shouldn't. Okay, so I'll read the story for you, but that was basically what I got out of it. And the part that I thought was the most important statement here was, under the Obama administration, federal drug agencies have made a point to talk about addiction as a medical problem, but the drug control budget continues to devote far more resources to arrests, punishments, and interdictions than to health strategies like treatment and prevention that I assume would be under Obamacare, right? Okay, so there's maybe a political motive here as to funnel the money towards medical, but that's where it should be, isn't it? Okay, so that's okay. Profitable, but okay. Okay, if President Obama intends to bring federal drug policies and budgets into line with this administration's rhetoric before he leaves office, he could hardly find a better, more effective way to do it than through the nation's top medical doctor. In other words, he's got a scientist who may be able to review this independently from the FDA and the DEA, and now what his recommendation will stand more strongly than when prohibition was first initiated, back when the first Surgeon General made this recommendation and everybody fucking ignored him. So this may be going back to that very first moment of harm done to the nation, where we ignored our scientists and went with politics. That's what I think this article is saying. Maybe to go back to the original sin, and that is definitely the original sin. It's when we didn't go with what our Surgeon General said. We went with what paid politicians say. Not good. It was like we diverted the entire country away from science and into politics. Okay. We have some preliminary data showing that for certain medical conditions and symptoms that marijuana can be helpful. United States Surgeon General Vivek Murthy told CBS last Thursday, "I think that we have to use that data to drive policymaking." Murthy isn't the first Surgeon General to express reasonable comments on drug policy, as former Surgeon General Joycelyn Elders suggested that the U.S. study drug legalization in 1993 and came out in support of marijuana legalization in 2010. Thanks to pioneers like Elder and others, Murthy is working in a much more palatable political environment and will lead a report presenting the state of the science on substance use, addiction, and health. I first read about this huge policy announcement from Tom Engel on marijuana.com. The report from Vivek Murthy, the nation's top public health official, will outline potential future direction for drug policies and education, encourage and call upon all Americans to take action. According to the Federal Register notice published on Thursday, it will take a comprehensive look at illegal drugs as well as current legal substances like alcohol and prescription medications. I hope that they're shaking in their knees a little bit, because you deserve to. Maybe things need to be changed a little bit, but not necessarily for bad things. I mean, remember that I read, oh yeah, you don't remember because that video was blocked. Okay, so, or I think it was, but I read, oh no, that one wasn't blocked. That was the day before. But when the guy was talking about the right to be able to smoke in public, right? And that people should have the right to be able to smoke in public, and that there was a study that when you restrict people's movements, okay, like they put this mouse in a cage and they gave it the option to have water or cocaine. The problem was, and the mouse got addicted to cocaine, but the problem was that they made the cage into the worst shithole, well, look around my house, the worst shithole ever, right? And trapped the mouse in there, so the only satisfaction on earth he could have was cocaine. Even if he knew he was dying, he was like, please kill me. It's so fucking boring in here. All I can do is be addicted to coke, right? But if you put these mice, or rats, or whatever, into a larger cage that had toys and nice places to sleep, and it was warm, and there were other animals to socialize with, and there were treats and like treasures and stuff they could find, then they're like, cocaine, who the fuck cares? I'm sorry, this is better than life. This is reality. This is better than that, right? Video games, think of all these things that are like this, okay? So what this guy was arguing was, when you force everybody to drink in a bar, where all they're doing is encouraging them to get all emotional over football games and TV shows and cop shows and everything, you see people drinking. Yeah, Get me another one, Bob. Okay? Why that's a bad idea is because your frontal lobe is not working now. My science teacher in the 1970s in junior high school, he told it to me like this. He goes, Dukes of Hazzard. You love that show, don't you? Do you know why you love that show? Because it's colorful and it's bright lights and the car's colorful and it's jumping and it's action, and your left brain goes, good night. I'm gonna take a nap now, and your right brain's like, like a child. When you're driving on the freeway and you can't remember how you got somewhere, it's because your left brain's like, okay, you got the wheel, okay, good night. I'll see you later, man. Cool. Oh, there's an accident, you know. Your right brain will take over and go, no problem, I got this. La la la. If they see an accident, the left brain jumps in. Suddenly you're driving like a moron because the two parts of your brain are like, arguing for a second about what you should do. Okay? Well, some of the reasons why we should not perhaps drive under the influence, because our brain has to do this very complicated thing. Okay? It's a lot more complicated than many of us understand. That's why marijuana is okay for some people to drive, because it helps this happen better. And they can have those reactions without having a major spaz attack. And you have seen many on the road, maybe, that if they were medicated would not drive like such fucking idiots when they see a goddamn accident. So anyway, my teacher told me that the reason you like those shows, the reason you like the bar, the reason you like the restaurant with all the flashy TVs and everybody's talking, the football games going on, and you hear people cheering and there's happy birthday singing, is because they want to keep you at a high level of stress continuously so that your brain shuts off and you just keep buying whatever is pleasurable in the room, because you're trapped here with this din of noise going on. And your emotions constantly being heightened so you can't think. Because when people get emotional, their ability to have critical thinking diminishes. That's why in an argument, people get irrational. You have to wait till they calm down. No matter if you're right or wrong, if you have a point, it doesn't matter. They're going to get up, say, I hate you, slam the door, get in the car, and drive away. Anyway, you fucked up. It was you. They're not capable. What's going on inside their brain is like, you know, of course they gotta get the fuck away from you or they're gonna like lose their mind. It's a real thing that happens between both hemispheres of our brain. So, when you approach alcohol in a more healthy way, the idea might be to allow people to drink in public a little bit in a responsible way. That way they're not trapped in a bar that is there to make money off of their addiction. Parks and other places and the beach and the world about us is not here to get you fucking addicted to Budweiser or get you to buy more chicken wings. Or get your kid to pump more fucking quarters into a video game. And some people feel they have to show up to these events or they're not socializing properly. Yeah, that's a crazy fucking world we need to change. That's nuts. That's what's going on. That's the crazy right there. I solve football. I just solve sports. What are they doing? They want you to spend. The way they get you to spend is to heighten your emotional state. You want your state heightened because we no longer have rituals with men where they would take a young man out and have him do a trial or a test and then somehow mark or brand him to show him as a man, and he would ritualistically be, introduced into the community. Now when young men get out of college, they hit a bar, they talk loud with their boss, they yell loud, and it's permittable because that's what the bar wants. They want them to get emotionally so wrapped up that they just keep pulling that credit card out and paying for everybody else's drinks and shit. And I know a lot of people, including us, have been in that position. I mean, look at the bar behind me. It's a tiki bar. And it wasn't until I read this story I realized, holy shit, I just designed my house the entirely wrong way. And I need to strip everything down because it's not that it's claustrophobic because it's too cluttered. It's claustrophobic because it creates tension. See? It's not because, oh, you know, I don't like this image or that collection or whatever, or this is in the way. It's because visually it creates tension, which heightens you emotionally. Then you're in here playing video games, and it hypes you up even more. So back and forth to the refrigerator, back and forth, arguing maybe, or you're not doing other stuff that you need to be doing because you're constantly, like, on the internet. See, I'm solving my own issues here. So I think when I read that story, I was like, holy shit, there is a lot of shit going on here. I think it's important for all of us to talk about. Because that whole bar scene, I don't think we want marijuana in there. I think we want marijuana and alcohol to be kind of out more in the open. And not this crazy here, trapped inside a dimly lit, loud, you know, energetic atmosphere that's just there to take money from you. And you feel obligated to go because your kid's baseball team is going by to buy pizza after the game, or there's a game everybody wants to go watch and you want to be part of that socialization. It's just fucking ridiculous. It's like, it's a trap. It's some kind of psychological trap they figured out. I mean, it figures too, because I've always known McDonald's and those places, they have the color schemes that they do because they want their customers to come in, eat, and get the fuck out. So they make the color scheme super agitating. Oranges and shit like that. You don't know it's affecting you psychologically, but it does. So I think this is right on track. Drug war reform advocates had hoped that Murphy would implement more sensible drug policies, especially after it was made positive. After he made positive comments about medical cannabis last February. However, as Engel notes in his blog post, Murphy seemed to backtrack in follow-up statements. He could have been telegraphing. See, politics is way complicated. This is like, oh, he said something and I should shut up. Could be somebody who went, no, dude, we got a plan. You chill. We'll tell you when. Sit. You know, wait. You know. A thorough review of U.S. drug policy based upon science could fulfill the promise that Murphy demonstrates when he reasonably stated that cannabis can have medical benefits and that data should determine policy decisions. Treating cannabis as a Schedule I controlled substance with no medical value has long been a national embarrassment. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders has wisely called for removing marijuana from the list of controlled substances, treating cannabis federally as the nation does alcohol. A thoughtful scientific review should bring us closer to descheduling cannabis and treating drug use overall as a health issue instead of a criminal issue. And it would also go hand in hand. See, they start, you know, making things go together. So this would go hand in hand with reducing prison populations, cutting the school to prison pipeline that we have going on, trying to stop all of these giving open container citations or giving marijuana smoking in public citations to people that are homeless. So you're taking advantage of open container and marijuana to get rid of the most unsightly people and go after them. I know in Colorado, I've said this before, that the officer that did the most busts for smoking openly in Colorado after it was legalized did it to homeless and black people, poor people. And they were clearly his target because he was brushing them, or somebody was calling him to brush them, and then he took the fall because, he's doing the job. More than likely some rich bitch or hotel owner or something like that. Watch that CNN show about fucking, I don't know, that Colorado town that didn't want the dispensary. Can't remember what the fuck that was called, but man, I got the idea. I don't think there are some places in Colorado I want to go visit. Those people are creepy. High Profits, that's what it was called. I had to think for a second. Okay, and it was like, I can't remember what the hell the town's name was, but the one thing I got from that show was, I don't see a lot of people of color in this town. What I see is a fat old white lady running down the street to tell a dispensary owner to brush some white hippie off the corner because his dreads, music, and pot smoking was pissing her off. And I'm like, I don't see anybody else in this show, I don't think, that isn't white. So, answer to your question is that whatever town this show took place in has got a lot more problems than just not allowing a marijuana dispensary. Holy shit, was that a white burger. Man, I don't think I want to... Can you imagine what the restaurants are like? No thanks. Bland. Can't live in California your whole life, then go back east and go, oh yes, your bland food is so delicious. Some food is wonderful, but no. Okay, so I'll let you go. This stuff's kicking in, for sure. And I'll see you tomorrow, or I'm sorry, Monday. And have a great weekend, and check out all the live shows, including Hash Church. You know, sometimes I'm not happy with Hash Church, but, I mean, everybody's part of the community, whether we like them or not. This is combat. You know, we could do this honorably or dishonorably, whatever. And I like Freddie Pritchard more, frankly. So I recommend that you watch Freddie Pritchard's live show, The Week King. He's the best live show on the weekend. And Stony Sunday's wonderful. She always has interesting guests when she can. And I really like We Porn Daily, too. He and his wife, I think it's, yes, Mrs. We Porn Daily, they're a very sweet couple. And they're here facing a lot of the challenges a lot of young people are in Southern California, which is, this place is expensive. And you gotta hustle to stay here, you know what I mean? Okay. So you stay high, and goodbye, and I'll see you later. I'll load me another bowl after I sign off here. And hopefully YouTube will let this video stay up. So I'll see you tomorrow. Take it easy. I mean, Monday. I am stoned. Wow. My edibles were effective. I'm going to have a great day.